um, I think I'll just start with my um, Gusev presentation. If you could put up the first slide, and when he becomes available again, he can take over whenever he wishes. Oops, do we have the first slide? Oh, right. There we go. On the picture in the background, you can actually see Igor Gusev, who's the man in the black hat, and the man in the white hat is Klaus Brunny, and they're standing in front of the National Museum of History of the Ukraine. They're both leading experts in the coins of the Himalaya. And they must have had a great time because Igor's still talking about it. Unfortunately, Klaus is now deceased. But this picture gives you a bit of an idea of the sort of friendship that can lead to collecting of coins. Next, please. Igor insists that I mentioned that I turned his rich material into the presentation that you will all be seeing now. The voice is mine. The coins are almost all in Igor's collection. The text is translated from the Russian. There is no question and answer session after this presentation for language reasons, but you can leave your comments and your questions on World of Coins, the board forum events, the thread live event October 2020. And with that, let's have a look at Bhutan, which is in the center of the map here. As you can see, it borders on Tibet, which is there, right? And the Indian principalities of Sikkim and Kuch Behar and Nepal, and Assam. You should also notice Nepal, which is also in the Himalayas, and many collectors who collect coins from Bhutan are also collecting coins of Nepal. The mint of Kuch Behar was closed down in 1788 due to a conflict with the British, and Bhutan had always had its coins minted there, so it had no choice but to start minting its own coins. Next, please. Yep, we had that. Now, if you look at the most used coin catalog, Krause and Mishler, you'll find that almost all of the coins from 1790 to 1928 are called Deb. That's wrong. So our friend Igor has done an analysis by metal and by weight, and he has arrived at 3 denominations: the Deb rupee, I'll come back to that one first, the Matam, which is a later development, and the Chitam. Next one. What you see here is a coin of Kuch Behar. It's a silver half rupee of 4.7 grams in the name of Devendra Narayan. And the coins of Bhutan are really quite like this prototype, and they haven't changed very much. So all the time you have to look for indices on the metal, the weight, and sometimes there's subtle changes in the symbols. Next, please. You see, in Bhutan, there were two heads of government. There was a religious government, which was headed by the Jekemno, or the chief monk. And of course, they were specialized in religious affairs and in affairs of what is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. And then parallel to that, there was a civil government, which was headed by a guy whose official title was Drukdesi, but everybody called him Debraja. And that is where the name Deb Rupee comes from. It is the rupee that was issued by the Debraja. And that Deb Rupee will fit into Bengali denominations, where half a Kuch Bihari rupee is equal to 8 annas or 32 paisa, and you will find that these numbers come back all the time. So these are the first coins of Bhutan, and you'll see that they're a little different from the coin of Kuch Bihar that I showed you previously. These coins are of good silver, 70 to 80% silver content. They're Deb rupees, and their weight is practically the same as that of the original from Kuch Bihar. There are just very subtle differences in the symbols that tell you that these are not coins minted in Kuch Bihar, but in Bhutan. Next, please. Now, these data I just mentioned changed gradually in the period 1790 to 1840 as the silver content became less and less, which makes a lot of sense, but because people can easily check the weight of a coin, but the silver content is much harder to check. And you can see this coin looks less silver than the one that you've seen before. The weight also decreased a little bit from 3.5 to 4.5 grams. Next, please. Thank you. So after 1840, all the silver was gone. And we're basically looking at a different denomination. It's not very much like a different coin, but it has a different color. And it's easy to distinguish from the Deb rupee. It's a base metal coin called Matam. The Matam is very close to the specification of the British East India Company quarter anna. You see here an 1835 anna coin, which is a little bit larger, but it's also thinner than the Matam of this time. And tellingly, 32 Matam are equal to a half Deb rupee, which is equal to the old Kuch Bihar coins. Next, please. So the next development is that we see that a new coin metal is introduced, which is brass. And brass is just copper again, but an amount of aluminium is added, and depending on the price of aluminium, that makes it cheaper. Availability plays a role as well. Weight again is a little bit lighter again, 3.59, whereas the Matam of its days are 4.21 grams. Next, please. Now, the background of this development is that the British were actually getting more and more powerful in the north of India. This ended up in the Anglo-Bhutan War of 1865, which ended badly for Bhutan, or well for the British. but Bhutan remained independent. And over 30 years, there were two great parties fighting it out among each other, both of them Bhutanese. One was the governor of Tongsa, who was pro-British. The other was the governor of Ponlop, who was anti-British. Each of them was undercutting the other, and therefore there was a monetary chaos where you had all kinds of different matam. And the three big classes are the official ones. And I'm not even quite sure what official means here, because was it Tongsa, was it Ponlop, or was it both? I don't know. Their weight varies from 1 to 5 grams. And the very light ones are actually counted as half matam, which is chitam. The chitam is che means thin or half. And these official matam were accompanied by unofficial matam and chitam. And these are probably from the other party, whichever the other party was, during the Civil War. They were tolerated, they were counted as currents, they were generally accepted. But apart from these, you had private people, smiths, merchants, I don't know what, but people who had absolutely no authority to make coins, and they made matam and chitam as well. Their coins were not tolerated officially, but they circulated anyway. So in the end, we have three glasses, and those classes are shown on the next slide, I believe. We have here an official copper matam. It looks very much the same, but it's a lot more sloppy. You will see that there are places where it is worn or looks worn, while the rest of it is sharp, which means that the die was uneven. You have also a chitam there. It's a lot smaller in reality than the matam. It's also a lot lighter. And here you can also see that it's not quite round. It's, well, it's sloppy again. That's what the word is. Next, please. And here are the other classes. You have on the left, you have the unofficial coppers, the chitam and the matam. And on the right, you have the illegal ones. And you can see that they're different in the sense that they are even worse than the unofficial ones. Next, please. Now, everything has an end, and that goes for the Civil War as well. The picture here is of sort of a national hero in Bhutan, Ugyen Wangchuk, who is the son of Druk Desi. And as you can imagine, he was a big shot in Bhutan. He was just not in power. Well, that changed with his son, who ended the Civil War in a large battle, the Battle of Changli Metang, which is very famous in Bhutan and so unknown that there is not even an entry for it in Wikipedia. He realized that he could not go on without some kind of tolerance from the British, and therefore he sought their favor and participated in a British mission to Tibet in order to make peace, where he played an important role. He also ended the religious branch of the government, so he became the sole governor, and instead of governor, he called himself, in the end, king, Druk Gyalpo. He was an enlightened ruler. He modernized in several areas of the economy and society, establishing schools that had nothing to do with the Buddhist religion, and at the same time proved himself to be a devout Buddhist. which is pretty good for a ruler. He also reestablished the traditional coinage and withdrew the light coins and the bad coins. The designs were modernized, but they're still immediately recognizable as Buddhist. Next, please. And here they are. You have the Deb rupees. One is a bit better than the other. They're of a slightly different layout. They're very much recognizable as the coins of Bhutan, but they're different. Next, please. As for the coppers, you see them here, and the same is true for the coppers as well. They look very much like they come from Bhutan. They have all kinds of Buddhist symbols. You see on the first coin on the upper left, you see a swastika, 2 swastikas even. These are Buddhist symbols. The others are, what's inside the swastika is also a Buddhist symbol. But at the same time, he's taken his little distance from the traditional coins. They don't look like the classical coins anymore. And I'm even wondering about the central elements in the coin on the lower rank, where you see a knot, which you can see from coins on coins from Egypt to India that are not particularly Buddhist. Next, please. So, to sum it all up, we have looked at 4 periods. In those 4 periods, we had 3 different denominations, and we had a number of coin metals. And that, gentlemen, is how I see the coinage of Bhutan. I thank you very much.